I greet you all in the name of love, respect, and honor. Broadcasting live from the Skills Village Radio studios right here in Skills Village Radio in Dobsonville, Soweto. Sure, what a year. How to start a year. Wow, it's a wow. Right, Mtijwa Skills Village Radio, Mamuka being the 15th of January 2025. We made it together, Mtijwa Skills Village Radio. I hope you enjoyed your festive. I hope and trust that you crossed over very nicely in peace with you, your friends and family, especially yourself. Self-love. Whatever I want to share something with you. It's something that I observed long, and it's something that we always need to keep in mind throughout this year. This year, 2025. I know Mr. Tep or Soreje. Let me share something with you, quite vital. You know, there's I love nature. I love nature, body, heart, and soul. And within the nature part, within the the portfolio, the pilang, let's say go the wild, the wilderness, right? The Big Five, go Kruger National Park. There's an animal, an antelope, ribicha impala. Impala it's a herbivore. This means the Dao, the tiger, not tiger man. We don't have tiger in South Africa. Cheetahs and all those Big Five, they feed on, they prey on these animals. But there's something that I've realized. When impala is being chased, it goes, Baba. It zigzags or whatever predator that's running after it. But there's something that happens sometimes during the chase. Once the impala comes across the greeneries, it's been chased. And impala forgets, I'm being chased here, right? You know what it does? It stops and starts eating. You know why? An impala's got a short-term memory. Memory is less than a minute. So after a minute, it forgets that I've been chased after. It starts eating. And what happens? Gets caught. It's too late to run. Why do you want to share this narrative with Lena or when I'm teaching Skills Village Radio? It's because Rene Libatu, friendship, relationships, at work, with family, relevant. We often have a short-term memory like the impala. While in 30 seconds, you just forget that why you are in a relationship. You forget why you have a boyfriend, why you have a girlfriend, why you have a husband, and why you have a girlfriend or wife. You forget. We forget what services you need to render as a member of a family, friendship, or at work. Wherever you usually. I'd love to invite you and encourage you hore. Oska tunali impala. Eska how jamonati lo oska libala hore. There are some services that you need to continue rendering. Once you forget, ichayile gawe. Mamokla di koldi buju. Mamokla. Most schools dibuju. Get day 1. Grade 1, grade R, matric, high school. Oskalebala. Why you went to school? Why I put a uniform at this very moment? It's kind of more like about March, about February, and you forget. You become an impala because of you've got friends now or go to school. Walibala. Or when you're a student, you want to pass and you've got huge gains that you want to receive in this year. Teach Skills Village Radio, do not have a memory of an impala. Otherwise, go just somewhere keep it in mind throughout the year. In mind, it's quite vital for all of us. That's how I say to Skills Village Radio. Welcome to Skills Village Radio 2025 edition. Rifiklile is the part where I say, "Yay!" Skills Village Radio. The team is here. Harachinja. Baba Signal is still sitting by my side on the right hand side. Happy New Year, Baba Signal. Okay, that's his new voice. Alrighty. Happy New Year, Kivi.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Khadi. Happy New Year. Hey, Tire. And the biggest of them all, Happy New Year, Moteleji, Skills Village Radio. Woo! We made it. We made it. Welcome to Skills Village. This is another episode. Wow. I'm the first show for this year. That's amazing, right? Amazing. Welcome to Empowering Abilities and Employment right here on Skills Village. This is a show that comes to you every Wednesday from 10 all the way to 12 midday with me, Mr. Tab. Tebogo Obriwaga Popedi. Two bulls. The Poche Pediga, right? So, we've got a nice surprise. And I know she might be listening. So, I'm got some much. But if it's your birthday, happy birthday. Uhule. Ole kanele Mr. Tap, right? And then if it's your birthday, I wonder, were they crying? Were they nervous? I remember my at skills villageradio.co.za and for skillsvillageradio.co.za. And if you and you would love us to replay how my Skills Village, we are more than happy to do so. Rahona Mola more music at skillsvillageradio.co.za. Already, we don't have time in a gossip page. We come get butcher rotating. We go to my pelaka. Education mola. Education mamoka just to prepare and lay down, particularly educate. She's the director within the education of the basic education of South Africa, right? It's going to be very, very nice. Our discussions from shortly after 10:30 and shortly after 10 from 11 o'clock. Employment. Yeah, hey, and employment education in South Africa, but we have Skills Village Radio. Hester, welcome to Skills Village Radio.
Oh, thank you.
Are you well?
I am doing well, although we are hectically busy. Mos, it's the start of the school year today. So things are hectic, but thank you for having me today. It's such a privilege.
Absolutely. Can you kindly brief our listeners who is Hester Kosa?
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Hester Costa. I'm working for the Gauteng Department of Education, and my job is a director for inclusion and special schools, which means that we basically are expected to succeed in the public ordinary schooling system or the public special schooling system, get the support that they need. That's basically me.
That's amazing. Well done and welcome to Skills Village Radio again. And jumping straight into it, I just have an interest to find out how many disabled students do we have in mainstream schools?
I can give you what we had last year. Obviously, we will only know by the 10th school day for 2025. But in 2024, we just had a little bit over 7,300 learners in mainstream schools that reported that they had disabilities. And those disabilities ranged from being visually impaired, hearing impaired, physically impaired, or having medical conditions that required support.
That's amazing. So many. When we're talking about mainstream schools, it means that if I stay here in Soweto and there's a high school nearby, in like a walking distance, I can attend that school than going to Pretoria for a special school. Am I correct?
Theoretically, it is correct. But what we need to do is, because we want to make sure that you get all the support that we need, and we acknowledge the history of low resourcing that we have, We need to make sure that both you and the school are ready for the change that needs to take place. There are already a few high schools. If I take, for instance, visual impairment, there's a few high schools or schools that are taking in learners with visual impairment. Then we link them with schools that can help them. We make sure that they get the support that they need, and then we take it from there. But we cannot assume that every school in our province, as it is today, you can just step in and everything will be ready. We really need some time to prepare for you.
Mm, mm, mm. That's amazing. So then, in these for the schools that have adopted or accepted persons with disabilities, what has been the biggest misconception about persons with disabilities?
The biggest misconception in a mainstream school specifically is that the learners will burden them. They are of the impression that that child brings a burden, the child will always need help, the child can do nothing on its own. And unfortunately, many people still think that if you come with a disability, it goes with intellectual disability as well. For
Mm,
instance, if you have a physical disability, uh, many people assume that you are also cognitively not going to meet or be able to cope with the academics.
yeah.
And that we all know is definitely not the case. We also have a lot of people that think that they need to decide for you what is best for you.
Mm,
In other words, for instance, if you have a physical disability, even before knowing what you can do and cannot do, many schools will say, oh, he cannot participate in sport, he cannot participate in culture activities. They
mm.
decide for you what you can and can't do. And most of the time, they underestimate what the person brings to the table.
Sure. So I understand this fully. And is this a role that has to be played maybe by just us as individuals on the ground, or particularly the education sector on its totality? Or we can both basically work together to make sure that we curve these misconceptions?
Definitely. I think we must understand that a school is only a part of the bigger social community. So if the people in the surroundings or in the community have that belief about people with disabilities, it's only natural that the people whose children go to the very same school will carry that belief into the school. So, the more we have in our community a sense of acceptance, a sense of embracing everybody, you will find that same ethos in the school. That is what we have found.
I understand that. Thank you so much. So, I've realized that sometimes these schools are hampered by basic matters of accessibility. Do you think each and every school, as we speak at this very moment in Gauteng, has matter of accessibility, wheelchairs, ramps, ramps, and so forth?
No, definitely not. We are not close to that in Gauteng, although it's about 8 years now that every new school that is being built must be fully accessible. And then, as we receive learners who express their interest to go to a specific school and they need that accommodation, we retrofit. And you yourself know that retrofit is not always the best,
Mm,
but we do try to make sure that there is no child in a school that is not able to get to places. And that is why also, if you have mobility challenges and you have a specific school in mind, we go with you
mm,
and we send an occupational therapist with you
that's
to go
amazing.
and check would it make sense in terms of the environment, so that we can make an informed decision, so that within the resources that we have, you can be fully accommodated, and it is possible for us to at least deliver that service to you.
Amazing. Congratulations. It's quite new. I never thought that you guys do that. I think it's quite imperative that we have discussed these kind of discussions quite often, because I never knew or understood that I can actually come to the department, notify them that, hey, there's school ABC within my block or in my township. I'd love to attend there. That you guys make your way to come and with the actual student and introduce to the show and make sure that is this particular school um, um, conducive for learning and for the environmental factors for the particular student. I never knew that you guys do this. It's first time.
Yes, we don't do it that often because very few people actually ask for that. But where people ask for that, we do go out and we send our OT specifically to go and make sure. And then it also gives us that time to do preparation of the staff, a little bit of capacity building that would be needed.
Mm,
For instance, if a person goes there that have a very specific need, let me take an example of diabetes. If a child is having really struggling with diabetes, we place the child and we make sure that before the child comes, everybody has an understanding of how to manage the child, because we also want to provide information to reduce anxiety amongst everybody in the school.
mm. That's amazing. No, congratulations about that. Matuja Skills Village, you're listening to Skills Village Radio, empowering abilities, education, and employment right here on Skills Village Radio. And the voice that you hear across the line is Esther Costa from the Department of Basic Education here in Gauteng, right? She's the director here in Gauteng. We are continuing with our discussion, Hester. I just need to find out, right? It has been an outcry for a very long time that persons with disabilities or students in special schools are often being taught by teachers who don't even understand the criteria of communicating or helping or even assisting a person with a disability. Do we have enough teachers who are trained enough to particularly train persons with disabilities within their schools and so forth?
Yeah, you know what happened? We also need to understand where it comes from. Years ago, there was no university that you could go to when you start to study as a teacher where you can do formal studies about disability.
Mm,
So, in actual fact, our universities delivered teachers and they knew nothing about disability. And when they start at the school, even though they have all the passion in the world, they would end up at the school and it would be like trial and error and learning from the others that is already at the school. So,
mm,
at least the past number of years, the universities started to introduce a module about disability in all the undergraduate studies.
mm-hmm.
So, as much as it's a very generic type of training, at least they start to understand about disability and inclusivity
Yeah,
specifically.
yeah.
And then the Department of Higher Education and Training has 3 years ago appointed certain universities in Gauteng to deal with specific further studies. And we were so glad that last year, for the first time in history, we had educators that completed a formal postgraduate course at the University of Pretoria
Ah,
on,
that's
on visual
amazing.
impairment. So, how
Congratulations.
to teach a child with visual impairment, how to prepare learning material, all of those things. And then the same happens. The Wits University is
Mm,
focusing on hearing impairment, and the University of Johannesburg is focusing on all neurodiversity challenges. So, for the first time, we have teachers that can go and study further in a very specific disability area. So, as much as we as education, we also provide courses, at least our options to source training organizations
yeah.
is much better.
I love that because let me just give you an experience. Back then, when I was in high school, as a visually impaired student, my results, or when the teacher was marking in class and so forth, right? My results were even found, like, because the teacher could not read or write in braille, so then they would then need to call a student in my class to come and count and read. And so but this means,
That was very difficult.
yeah, my classmate would come to me and say, "Hey, Mfit, you did not do well. Do you understand how embarrassing is that?" So it was not good. So
Terrible, and it's
it's very
very
terrible.
unprofessional. But as I say, there was nothing before. But
Mm.
at least that is now starting.
Yes.
All our teachers at schools for the blind, for instance, now are expected to become competent in Braille. And we offer courses for them to become Braille competent in levels, in all the levels,
Mm.
up to contracted Braille, so that at least they are able to understand their learners. But do you know that we have so much moved to technology in
Yeah.
schools for visually impaired
Mm.
that we now use software that also makes that bridge easier to cross because
Yes.
our learners now use ICT
Mm-hmm.
to put their work down. They use Apex readers or notebooks
Mm.
to capture their work.
Yeah.
And the teacher is now able to, on her laptop, read exactly what every child is writing. So there
Yes.
is a lot of work being done, but technology has also moved so much.
Yeah, it has played a huge role actually, particularly within the disability sector. It we highly appreciate it. And I just want to, following up, I just want to find out, have you realized there are a number of persons with disabilities who are out of school? So do you know why there's so many learners, students who are with disabilities are out of school?
We hear on the media that there is talk about out of school learners,
Mm.
and I can believe that there are out of school learners with disabilities. What we in person definitely know of in Gauteng is we know of about just under 100 learners that are out of school because we could not place them as yet. We are in the process of placing them. So, what we have realized is that many parents don't report themselves or report that they have this child. So, as a
Yes.
department, we will not know that that child exists. Specifically, our children with profound intellectual
Mm.
disabilities,
Yeah.
uh, they will keep them at home, and we cannot also blame them if you think of the burden to transport them, to get them to places, and so forth. But they are not reported to exist to us, and therefore we sometimes don't even know that they are there and we can't reach out
Mm.
because we also now are running a program led by the national department where we now even do support visits by therapists and teachers in what people know as stimulation centers
Okay.
because we want to make sure that those learners access learning. We provide them with learning material, stimulation material. We have therapists going there.
Mm-hmm.
And what we find is that also finances play a big role. Many a time, parents are dependent on the disability grant
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to survive as a family, which means that they cannot use all that money to make sure that the person with a disability get what is needed.
Fully, I do agree. So maybe do you think transportation can be a contributing factor here, or is it because of the curriculum on its totality? Is it flexible enough to cover a particular student with a disability?
That's a very good question. Transport in totality in our country is a challenge because we don't have widespread networks that are accessible. If you just think of us traveling to town and so forth, it doesn't really exist or it's not that accessible for people. And in the school environment, we do provide scholar transport. Uh, there's our GDE provides scholar transport for those children who can travel independently. Then the special schools also provide transport, but you already can see that there's a gap in a child that cannot travel independently but needs to go to a close by mainstream school.
Yeah.
That is definitely true. And then also, we must understand that in some way, depending how far you need to travel, there would be a financial burden. And sometimes that is the greatest challenge for parents.
But what can the department do to curb this?
What we are doing is we are working very hard. I will speak about the curriculum now, but what we are currently doing is we are working very hard to expand the transport fleets of schools so that they can reach. I'm obviously not there where we can pick up every child at his house. And many parents are just so overwhelmed that if you can't go and pick the child up by the door of the house, they find it difficult to get the child to a pickup point or something like that. So sometimes, as parents, the responsibility to get the child to a specific spot, like a bus stop.
Yeah.
Uh, we also need that cooperation. But we are trying and we are getting there. We are also subsidizing that transport, but it still requires of parents to pay maybe 100 or 200 rand a month, which
Sure.
some people are really wanting to pay because they believe they have a responsibility, but the money isn't there. And others are saying, no, I'm not going to pay. And then schools find it difficult to maintain their fleets. In terms of the curriculum, we are very optimistic that in some way we are making real headways to accommodate learners in terms of the curriculums that we offer. We all know that in mainstream schools, mostly they will offer the CAPS, the one that takes you to matric. And yesterday we had announcement of results.
Yeah.
And there are many of our children with disabilities who really can cope with the National Senior Certificate or the CAPS. And they with the support, they complete it with great success.
Ah,
I
absolutely. They
just
did
want to
well.
brag a little bit to say that
Yes.
our provincial pass rate is just around 88%.
Wow.
Yeah, guess what our
Congratulations.
special school pass rate is? Guess what our special school pass rate is for last year? 94.
100? I mean, 80, 90?
94%.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
94% of our learners passed. Majority of our schools had 100% pass rate. We are extremely proud of our special schools.
Yeah.
That is the one curriculum that we offer. Then there is a curriculum that we offer, and it goes more or less, if you want to compare it with the normal school grades, it goes to grade 9 in terms of theory, but then it adds many skill subjects. There's 26 skill subjects from computer, office admin, beauty and nail, hair, metal work, metal sheeting,
Yeah.
plumbing, maintenance. And those are our schools where the learners who struggle with theory but are very good with their hands, that they go there. If I think of Soweto, for instance, quickly, I'm thinking of Mesodo. I'm
Yes.
thinking of MCK there in Lenasia. There's quite, I'm thinking of White City Skills, also in Soweto. And those schools, what they do besides the curriculum that they do, let's take, for instance, if a child does maintenance, they do the maintenance work and they get all the skills. Then, once they are ready, the school gets a service provider that will come and give them a formal qualification on something
Ah,
like tiling, for instance.
right.
So, you know that our premier said every child must leave with more than one certificate.
Yes.
So then they get an accredited certificate for tiling,
Yeah.
for instance, that they can add to their schoolwork to say to a person, look, I am formally qualified as a tiler, for instance. So that is what we do. Then, if you go further, for our children who are intellectually struggling more, um, that they will definitely not cope with the skills curriculum. We call the differentiated CAPS for severe intellectual disability. That curriculum, we take the curriculum, and at the age of 18, those children will mostly be at the level of grade 5 or 6. The positive of it is those children will be able to complete forms, they will be able to read a recipe, they will be able to read a menu, they will be able to follow instructions on the road, and they also do skills. Then, lastly, for our learners that are profoundly intellectually impaired, we have a learning program where the main focus is stimulation and independent living. So, those are the four curriculums. So, what is very important for us is to know about you as a whole. And that is why when you come and you say, I want to put my child in a special school, look, he has a short leg, for
Yeah.
instance.
Yeah.
We don't only look at the short leg, we look at the disability, but we also look at the potential of the child. Because if you have the potential to become a doctor with a short leg, put it like that, we definitely don't want to put you in a skills school.
Mm, mm,
We want to make sure that you can get as far as possible. And that is why we also need to get an understanding from all the areas of a child. We need to understand what is your need, what's your interest, what is your potential,
yeah.
and also where do you need support. Then only can we decide what is the best school for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Hester. Because of time, we will have to about to end our discussion. But then, before we wrap up, how does the department raise awareness about or for persons with disabilities, and what role can we play as a radio station that advocates for the rights and awareness of persons with disabilities?
Oh, you know what? For me, the greatest role that you can play is to say to parents, please, please don't be ashamed of your children. Please don't hide them. Come and talk to us. Show us your child. Let us see what can be done. So many times people think that as a department we will look down upon you. It's We are all human and we have all have our gifts. And that is why in the department we have annual disability celebrations. And the biggest one that we have, for instance, is in April, we celebrate autism. Then the next month it is cerebral palsy. So we run these awareness programs in our schools. But as a province also, and you will know that from 3 November to 3 December, it's Disability Rights Awareness Month. Then all government departments
Yeah.
run awareness campaigns. But I think if you can just tell people, go to the district office, go to the local school, say to them, where is your district office? Go there and speak to somebody that works in the inclusion section so that we can see how to help. That would be a bonus.
That would be highly appreciated. We'll definitely do so. We are just a call away, Hester, for us as a radio station that advocates for the rights and awareness
We will
of persons
definitely
with
remember you.
disabilities.
I'm so glad that I got to meet you at
That's
the
amazing.
Disability Awards.
Good
It's a
stuff.
bonus for us. Thank
Yes,
you
yes,
so
yes.
much.
That's amazing. Hester, any last words to wrap up today's episode or discussion regarding the Department of Education? What are you looking forward to come 2025? And yeah, everything. How's everything looking like this year?
In 2025, we're extremely excited to work further into improving the quality of curriculum delivery. We have a plan for capacity building of our teachers, our therapists. I must say, we are one of the best resourced provinces.
Yeah.
We give good financial support to our schools, but the school can do nothing if the community isn't supportive. And that is where we say, if you stay close to a special school, for instance, and you see a child that is wandering around and you know is from that school, please don't ridicule the children. embrace them, treat them in a dignified way so that they don't hide to
Mm,
which school
mm,
they are going. We love our children, everyone,
yeah,
and you yourself know
yeah.
that there's a reason for every child to be on this earth.
Absolutely, absolutely true. So, if you were to be a superhero, Hester, a superhero with a disability, right? Which superhero would you be and why?
Ooh, I would definitely choose Batman. You
Okay.
know, for him, it's not about who he is. He's not interested in people to know him and know his face.
Yeah.
It is you doing it behind the scenes, helping out and not collecting fame, moving on. So for me, that is a real superhero.
And then, if you had to be have a superpower as a Batman, what superpower would you have?
Oh, I would love to change the minds of people, to think
Sure.
differently, and to change their perception about people. We are all guilty of quickly making a judgment about people. And
Po to that one. Thank you so much, Hester. We enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed your
okay,
stay here at Skills
well,
Village Radio.
thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. That was Hester Mutilichua Skills Village Radio from the Department of Education and Gauteng Province. Very nice, very nice. Personally, the department is doing very well. The government is playing its role. It's high time that we as an individual also play our own role, right? To help the department. Just call. I did not know that you can just go to a school and say, hey man, can I Colombo and Kiboni, or I'm a deaf individual, and you go to the department and they can actually get assistance of that particular school. So if you're a parent and you have a person with a disability, or a son or a neighbor, just notify them that, hey, the opportunities out there. I think you could hear our discussion with Hester, that there are also opportunities of transport available. Encourage Skills Village Radio. Welcome to Skills Village Radio. This is the Triple E, a show that comes to you every Wednesday with Mr. Tab from Monday from 10 all the way to 12 midday. Right, guys, you wanted to share with me how was your grade one? You still remember? Come. Anybody? Let's hear. How was your first grade one? Let me just start off and break the ice. My grade one in Unified Public School. This is what went on. I went registration. When the registration, remember 1997, the registration was still paper. They had long lines and stuff, right? There was no technology, right? So during, plan now I was supposed to go to class. Nah. After the registration, you take your son straight to class. That's how it used to work. Register straight to class, grade one. Mr. Tabo. That's what I'm cover. So during registration, nas captain sa ke sage. Ke se my mom comes like, hey, HIL. Hurry, a quarter of a slice. Yo, nto ke captain open, just into go classing. Principal was like, hey, what's working? Aubrey, you can go home with him because there's no scarf. Go like a child. That's my experience at grade one. And grade one, I had a crush. Right? Her crush was. Can someone close her eyes? Oh, he is. Her name was Zanele. Ooh, Mazete. That was my crush of grade. That's my experience of grade one. Nothing. Or the last one. Now, Kitina Unified Novelas Hoa. Alright? And of course, Mr. Tab. Then Mr. Mas. I get 3K69. Ach, IML la pope dumas. I come mem. Oh, teacher. Now back to the road. Hey, this is an English speaking school. Mr. Road. What are you saying? My mem was, Miss Dumas was furious, and that's why I loved her. She was furious. English. Then everybody's now I'm now an example because they also didn't know how to say. It's grade 1, guys. I say, teacher, can I please go to the loo? I like it was bad. It was a bad memory. This one I still remember it like it happened yesterday. But guys, by that time, if you were in Naga 690 for a very long time, ne? And I was still young, it was going down. More something's gonna burst out. Say, teacher, then I had to follow. Teacher, can I please go to the loo? Go to the loo. Are go. I'm gonna get some more. Something you're saying. Gone. That was my experience at grade 1 Unified Public School. Yo guys, let's share. Yours, what's your views? What's your experience? What do you remember grade 1? Man, you said you remember, guys. Baba Siki, what's your experience?
Yeah, well, experience, yeah.
1 or 7 then. Let's share. Let's say school, anything.
No, grade 1. I say grade 1. Mina bengixaka bathi abamkhumbula grade 1 thina sikhumbula grade 1 wabo 1990 something.
Hey wena.
Bona bala go 2000 and something, go 2007 or something.
Impala.
Kiri impala. Mina go grade 1 wami bengikhashwa enhle bengihamba nelinyi sister bilihlala front opposite nakimi elihle kanjani yo so obviously bangibhalisa ethathe zakho Light Opsonville ethathe zakho then kanti le sister bilenza grade 7 ethathe zakho.
Oh wow, okay.
Yabo, so njalo maliphuma ekseni belingithatha. Let's talk about the first day la ngicova savaya and masifika esikolweni lafika la ngibonisa iclass, but now uyazi mfethu mawuhamba nomuntu omuhle kunalama out azayo yabona. So obviously lama out mawaza le sister leli ling introduce kulama out as ngumntana kubo.
Okay.
Yeah, ngaba soft kamnandi. No, bangisoft ato. Anibafuna ukuchaza yena. Bebangisoft lama two slide lawa yabona nama five bob. Yes, nama five bob yabona nanoma ngasekho endaweni mangiphuma ngihlangana nabo, you understand? Na five bob nje yami. There was this one time this other dude came with uyabona what's this, a wasp.
Yeah.
A bug.
Yeah.
Yes. Uyifase inyawo ngeriding ngewool and then uyifase la ebrogwini yakhe. So a wasp would go wafika la wayikhipha wasp kuyo wayifaka kimi. So the attention was dying.
You were the man.
Yeah, by default, you see, by default.
It's nice having a beautiful sister.
Yeah, but that was my experience.
That was nice. Yours was nice.
Makaqeda ungidrop eklasini ngakhala. Ngikhala sister was front opposite.
Where is she now?
She's actually doing something in the accounting sector.
I think we need to go visit Tom J.
Anele, yes.
She's still beautiful, right?
Abantwana bakhe.
Benza.
Yo.
Tatumtwana again.
Front opposite. Remember mangihlala eDobsonville? That time ngisahlala eDobsonville.
Oh, front opposite.
Front opposite nakimi.
No, you need to go speak to her, Jack.
Yeah, that was my experience at grade 1.
That was nice, man. Right, to your skills village. Because of time, we were supposed to go through some pointers regarding this year. You remember every single year, the beginning, the commencement of every financial year or journey, people have goals. Goals. People set goals for themselves. Some goals differ for individuals, from individual to individual. One goal will say, someone will say, I want to lose weight this year, right? Do you know that some people have goals of saying, I want to gain weight this year? Some people will say, I want to be lighter. Some people will say, I really, really, really want to get a job. People really want to get permanent jobs because there's a lot of unemployment and inequality within our space, which in South Africa. And particularly even when it comes to persons with disabilities. Persons with disabilities are one of the people that are unhired. Remember, all the time, every single year, you should check as Parliament opens. They always set an alarming level or state for themselves, like We are going to hire 7% of persons with disabilities in each company, each company, right? Not each company. So if you walk around in the buildings and stuff or in the malls, and then you see a company, this means they vowed that or the government, particularly, let's say the government department says they are going to hire a person with disability, the status quo, right? 7% or 4%. But do you know what? They can't even reach 1%. So I've realized the reason why they can't reach it's either of the two options options, right? It's either one, the government is not doing enough to look for these individuals, particularly those who are persons with disabilities, remember, right? The government might not be doing enough to reach for these individuals. Or secondly, persons with disabilities are not educated enough to meet the minimum requirements of their employment. You understand? So, when I'm Literature Skills Village Radio, what's your goal for this year, right? Have you ironed out your plan? I almost said brick wall. What's that thing that you put on the wall and then I forgot the name, but that one that you put there into your vision board. Yes, I brick wall, vision board, right? That one. Do you have it there? Because there's some things that rainyacha. Let's look. Unagaspani, you're unemployed. What is the first thing that you do? The first thing I would advise you to do as Literature Skills Village Radio, look for an industry that you are comfortable at. Research. Look for that industry that you know that I know if I get a job here, I'll be very happy or satisfied. That's the first thing. There's so many industries. There's the arts and culture industries. There's so many industries available in South Africa. That's the first one. As a person with a disability, of course, feel free and go look and seek for that particular industry. That's the first guide I advise you to do. Now you found the industry, right? Like, okay, Kia, this is industry X. This is where I want to find myself. This is the field that I want to find myself at. I want to be employed here. Now, secondly, are you equipped, or do you meet the required minimum of that particular industry? If you don't, then I advise you to have the short courses. There's short courses for 2 weeks. There's short courses for 3 days. There's short courses for 6 months. There's courses for the whole year, actually. Then the third thing I'll advise you, like, I don't want to deceive you, but I've realized people, but also deceive you. It's a matter of who you know, where you know, and how you know him or her. That's one of the discrepancies that we've realized in South Africa lately, within the labor department, that it's mostly who you know. So if you don't know anyone, then I think just follow the right way. Other than the CV. Perform your CVs, Literature Skills Village Radio. And look, participate with, there's always groups within of that particular department that you want to be part of, or industry, right? They're always advertising things, and there's always discussions between of that particular industry that you'd love to be part of, right? Communicate with your friends, your family, your network. Tell everybody that, guys, I am looking for work and I'm qualified in this particular industry. I'm telling you, you'll never hit a dead end. Someone will always remember you, like, hey, man, Google Bramamang or Google Mamang is looking for the job and key American college. Avail yourself every single time. Avail yourself every single time. That will be very assistant. And there's also the government institutions, right, that always have those trainings that you can also be part of. Oscar fella pelo, Oscar fella, don't finish your heart. Don't do that. Oscar fella pelo. Because Oscar fella pelo is going to be a challenge that's why you're going to end up being unemployed. Because fella pelo, follow the right levels. Especially Salomunian. When I started to fetch you, so now Pretoramo Hemingway, Machi, Pretoramo Hemingway, when Chang Rosake Makalab, Lena Palasawela, Mofat. I was a youth, South Africa, but Mr. Chaposo. I'm telling you, in 2 months' time, in a couple of weeks, I am crossing over. I'm crossing over, so opportunities are going to be limited because of my age. So don't waste time. Don't waste time, Mr. Lumunyan. What's going to look at Mr. Tapper? You're number way. It's got 2 months, and then I'm 10:35. And you flashback, what did I do? Now it's one, what was weird during the festive is that I visited my sister. And yeah, literally said, what's been picturing? It was so uncomfortable. Raholo, I get it. Hey, so it's those kind of things. Don't waste time, right? Time waits for no man, right? So if just follow those process, and please guys, follow up. Do a lot of follow ups, and particularly if you have sent your CV and you've spoken with the HR manager. At least I know I've got the number of HR manager yaka. I can call her. Maybe I should call her Nagre Ungira Ninkaku. Maybe I can call Princess Kamichara HR can't let me but please do not hesitate to make follow ups. Although I know there are some rules where they say we want your CV, and then if you don't hear from us for the next 3 weeks, consider your application unsuccessful. No, not now. Now, unsuccessful. Get phone. Hi, I am Mr. Tap. I just want to find out. Do you understand? I'm telling you, it's gonna work. So be persistent. And there's also agencies for persons with disabilities. Consider those. Most of them are free. They only deduct funds or something after to graduate or to hear. It's like an agency, right? That works for that. But there are a lot. They help a lot of persons with disabilities and receive employment or jobs in South Africa. So go with them. Also go to the Department of Labor, register at the Department of Labor. The initiatives that they have to curb and combat and help persons with disabilities with employment. There's a lot. Oscar Chaba, seek for assistance as much as you can. Be everywhere. Oscar Romelas, you see, here's our problem. Number 2, I almost said color, but number 2, Juan Juan. Harifet Romelas CV. A1. Renastel. How big wang bees la pa? Yeah, it's unning to me. Did you call? Did you make follow? No, you didn't. You only sent one CV. But also, make a lot of research. Material skills for radio. Call companies. Avail yourself. I don't know if I still have enough time, but then we're just gonna. I think it's where I'll cut it. I'll continue. Footy. Let's say come next week about the Department of Labor. There's a lot of opportunities. Material skills for radio. And then familiarize yourself to all these listed opportunities in Tutor Skills for Literature. I think this is how I'm going to say goodbye today for today's episode because of time constraint. But I just want to thank everybody who's here at studio who made it for the beginning of the first episode of Skills for Literature Radio, particularly of this show, Empowering Education and Employment.